Sometimes we think that we gotta clean ourselves up before we go to the Lord. But sis, what if I told you that he was right there with you in the midst of the mess and was actually using the mess in this way? Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Melody and I make faith-based content here on YouTube. I post new videos every single Monday. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely be sure and subscribe. I would love to have you join the family. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about this truth that we can hold in our hearts, that God will meet us in the midst of our mess. Oftentimes we can feel like we have to clean ourselves up before we come to God, or where there are those messy parts of our life, the Lord is not in there, in the mess with us. But sis, that could not be further from the truth. We serve a God that is in the midst of the mess with us and who sometimes uses the mess to draw us closer to him. And so that is what we're gonna be unpacking in today's video. And I'm gonna be sharing from a more personal, intimate lens of what God has been showing me and teaching me as he's been walking me through one of the messier areas of my life. Now let me go ahead and mute my phone because sis, what is going on? One moment. Okay, we're back. Please ignore all of those sounds, but this is like the third time I'm trying to film this intro and this was the best one, so we're just gonna go with it and just think, you know what, the enemy tried it, but here we are. So with all that being said, let's just go ahead and dive on in. So for this to make sense, we're going to travel back in time all of 7 days. So last weekend, Saturday, I woke up and it was after one of the busiest work weeks of my life to date. And the Lord was like, sis, you need to move. And so I got up and I said bye to X and Zoe and I went to take a walk on the trail that's near our house. And it was a beautiful day and I was the only person on the trail. So I just took that as an opportunity to channel my inner Hannah in 1 Samuel chapter 1, how Hannah just kind of like let God have it. She did not keep it cute. And so since I was the only one on the trail, I was like, you know what, God, we just gonna have a conversation. And so I started talking to God about the mess in my life, the messy area of my life that is impacting my ability to accurately view every other part of my life. As I'm sitting there just letting God have it, my frustrations about the mess, my worries about the mess, my fears about the mess, at the end I choose, and this was an act of a choice on my end and something that I'm trying to get better at doing always, I chose to praise God at the end and remind myself of the things that he's done in my past and remind myself of his faithfulness. And so as I'm sitting here having this dialogue with God on the trail, he then drops in my spirit and I hear him say clear as day, Mel, find the beauty in the mess. And so as he says that, I start looking around at this trail that I'm on. And something that I didn't notice up until God gave me this directive to find the beauty in the mess is how messy the trees and the vines, because it's spring, but some trees are still dead, the sides of the trail, like the trail is perfectly fine, just this concrete path, but on the sides of the trails, the trees, the bushes, the vines, it was so messy. Like there is absolutely no order, seemingly no structure. But every few steps, I started to notice that there were these bushels of purple flowers sprouting up, blooming in the midst of the mess. And so that directive that the Lord had just dropped in my spirit to find the beauty in the midst of the mess started hitting in a whole new way as I'm noticing these purple flowers every few steps. And something crazy too, I started to notice that the more I was looking for the purple flowers, the beauty in the midst of the mess, the more I was able to find them. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually pop up a few pictures and videos that I took because I was moved to tears. Like I was like, wow, God, like thank you for showing up for me in the midst of my mess, encouraging me to find the beauty in what I am going through. And so that is really the point and the heart behind this video. And I just want to drop 3 little reminders in your spirit if you also are walking through a mess like I am. First and foremost, there is beauty in the midst of your mess, sis. I feel like the enemy can try to warp our minds into believing that only perfectly structured and ordered things are what is pleasing to God. But sis, healing is messy. Healing is not just like, you know what I mean? Like peeling off duct tape from the wall. You're gonna get some of that paint on the duct tape and you're gonna have to go back and fix it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is beauty in the work of healing. There's beauty in the messiness of our life that come with a walk walk with the Lord. We're not guaranteed these order structured lives that are just absent of mess. And so that's the first thing that I want to encourage you with, that there is beauty in the midst of your mess. And the second thing, and this is really just the biggest one, especially because like I said, the area of my life where I feel like, I mean, it's not just one area, but the main area of my life where I feel like, man, things are just like a little bit messy, it impacts my ability to like see the goodness in all the other areas of my life. And so what God was really showing me and what I want to communicate to you is that the more that you look for the beauty and the mess, the more that you will find it. Just like the moment I started looking for these purple flowers and I moved to tears because I'm noticing how frequent they are popping up, that also is going to be us as we are walking through our mess. Just look for God's goodness. Look for getting that little bit of encouragement that you knew you needed, but you didn't know God knew that you also needed. And that came through with your friend just randomly texting you. Or maybe that is the encouragement you got, you put on the radio and it was that one song that just spoke to your situation. Like, look for the small ways that there are those beautiful moments of the Lord being faithful to you and kind to you and good to you in the midst of what you are walking through. And that really segues perfectly into the last little takeaway that I have for you here, is that the more that we look for the beauty that God is showing us in the midst of the mess, the more that we're going to be reminded of his love for us and his kindness and his faithfulness and the fact that he is with us and sees us in the midst of the messiness of life. And so this honestly just reminds me of Hagar, right? Hagar is going through some things. Her life, I would say, is the definition of messiness. She is a slave. Her mistress, who would be Sarah, gave her to Abraham to have a baby because Sarah could not get pregnant. And now Sarah is mad that she's pregnant and treating her terribly. So Hagar runs off into the desert and is basically like, I'm gonna walk back to Egypt pregnant. Like an incredibly long journey that she probably would have never made. And an angel of the Lord met her there at the water in the desert. And she called him in this interaction that she had with the angel of the Lord, El Roy, the God who sees me. And so we have to know that as we're walking through the messiness of life, as we're walking through potential suffering in the messiness of life, that God sees us. Our suffering has a sound that the Lord's ears and his heart is tuned in to. There we go. Like the radio frequency of our suffering, of what we're going through, of our pain, is a radio frequency that the Lord is in tune with. He sees us. And so the more that we look for the beauty, it can be that reminder that, hey, God sees me. He knows I'm walking through this messiness. He knows I don't like this messiness, but even still, he is with me in the midst of it. And so that's really it, sis. That's all I got for you here. I feel like this is something, again, that I'm currently walking and working through. And as God is reminding me that he is present in the midst of my mess, I know that there's someone out there that also needs that reminder. So I don't know who this is for, but sis, you're not alone in life feeling and being messy. But please remember that God is with you in the midst of the mess. And I'd also like to encourage all of us, like this is literally me encouraging me too, that we are not going to stay in the messiness forever. Like there will be a point, because there is a season for everything, there will be a point where we close the chapter on this particular area of our life being messy, but that's not to say that we won't experience next messiness in a different area, but we'll one day exit the messiness, Lord willing, okay? Lord willing. And as I continue to learn more, as God teaches me more, as I'm walking through my own mess, I will definitely circle back. But for now, that's all I got, sis. That is all I got. So that is going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you are feeling encouraged and inspired through it. Now, of course, it is your turn. So in the comments below, I would love to know, what is a previous mess that the Lord has gotten you through? I think if we fill up this comment section with reminders of God's faithfulness, it's going to be a reminder to us and also yourself that whatever we're walking through right now, the Lord is going to be faithful to get us through it just like he did in the past. So let us know down below, again, one mess that the Lord was faithful to bring you through. I'm going to be dropping my response, so take a second, drop yours, and scroll on through. As always, I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.